All right, then. So let's move on into our draft. So with any luck, good. Players have obliged my request of making sure that ProBUs Drift is on the left and Cael'Thas Can't Spell is on the right. So our most played heroes for ProBUs Drift right now are Sylvanas, Rhaegar, and Chen. The Sylvanas in particular, they've played that in 5 of their 7 games. But let's also talk about this Cael'Thas ban. So the Cael'Thas is something that ProBUs Drift has only played twice. However, it's also the only win that they have so far, the only map win that they have, was with Cael'Thas. Cael'Thas is also just such a polarizing pick where he's very feast or famine. If you can play him effectively, you can actually kind of solo carry once you get your stacks. But of course, if you can't get your stacks, or if there is enough dive on the other team to deal with Cael'Thas, he can kind of be dead weight. Meanwhile, the Zul ban will come out from the members of ProBUs Drift. Does something that, I mean, these days, it's hard to ever really think of that as a target ban because it is just something that's banned so commonly. It's basically a meta ban, and it's something that even if it is preferred by a team, it's not necessarily something you'll see often by that team because it's so frequently banned. Meanwhile, the Cael'Thas ban will be coming out from the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. Cael'Thas is a hero that has only been played once by the members of ProBUs Drift, so that one's a little curious. It could just be something that they personally don't want to deal with. And Cael'Thas, I've actually been thinking about that hero just recently, just as I was, just having thoughts in my head, not even particularly relating to this game or this series, but just thinking about how how Cael'Thas is a hero who is generally considered stronger at lower divisions, Division C, probably Division C or lower. Division C is starting to be the cutoff point. And then in higher divisions, he's not necessarily seen as good, where players are more effective at actually splitting up to minimize the value that Cael'Thas gets, and where he's kind of more seen as mid-tier. So we're going to actually see D get the Sylvanas, so it actually steals it away from ProBUs, but they will pick up the Li Ming and the Johanna instead. Johanna, usually just a safe tank pick, very meta tank pick, something that you can just safely pick up, and it's something that you're both getting a solid tank as well as denying it to your opponent, and yet it's also not something that is banned too frequently. I guess they're just more... It's as good as it is, it's also not something that's incredibly polarizing. Meanwhile, Li Ming, comfort pick hero, I think, for players in, honestly, across all divisions. Meanwhile, Muradin and Raynor will be picked up. Muradin is a hero that I do worry about. Muradin, I do feel that he is a hero that, just over time in the course of Heroes of the Storm, he was kind of power crept on in the tank meta, and that these days I really look at him as more of like a B or even a C tier tank. I wouldn't, he's not like a Gazlo. It's not something where you just look at that and you think like, oh my god, this is bizarre, and it's a throw pick. But I do feel like there are stronger choices, and I would have preferred to see, honestly, most of the other available choices, whether it's a Garrosh, a Diablo, an ETC, over the Muradin. Meanwhile, the Raynor, though, I do like that choice. I feel like that's something that's, I personally think of that as something that's kind of hard to go wrong with. So our secondary ban phase comes in, and we're actually going to see a healer choke. And this is something that does seem a little bit worrying, particularly for the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, since they are the ones, they will not get their pick right now. So there should probably be another healer that is taken away. And I do think this would be the time for ProBUs Drift to pick up a healer so that they can further choke. Good. They do pick up a healer. Just further choke members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell out of potential choices. There are probably still plenty of potential choices left. Anduin is still up. That is one who, just with the current balance of the game, would strike me as a pretty good choice. But there are plenty of other options. Rhaegar is actually still up. It will actually be the Anduin. And then, oh wow, Yrel will be played by Asmochad. In the past, I've thought of Asmochad as more of a DPS player, but I think on this roster, he probably just is one of the more experienced and therefore probably also more flexible players. So it's probably easier for him to flex into what would otherwise be like an off-role position for him. At least, just based on what I know. I've definitely seen him play DPS in the past. Final pickup will be the Chen by the members of ProBUs Drift. So here's at this point, I'm not looking to roast any players, and I'm certainly trying not to be biased, but after looking at a draft, I do want to look at it and kind of just weigh in on my opinion, my feelings, and hopefully some analysis as well to back it up of who I think came out with the better and with the better end of the draft. And for this particular match, I would say that I do think ProBUs Drift came out with the better draft in the end. The Muradin by itself is, like, when I see a Muradin, that's also already something where I start to kind of, like, lower my value of the draft that has the Muradin. So the Muradin by itself is one thing. I like the DPS pickups of ProBUs Drift better. I think both the Hanzo and the Li Ming, they have longer range than the Sylvanas and Raynor, longer reliable range. So a lot more poke, which I think will be better in the team fights around the beacons. I think Chen, actually, you know, I think the Chen pick is really strong, but at the same time, the Yrel pick is pretty strong as well. So that's, if anything, somewhat a little bit more even. And I think it has a lot to do, actually, with the DPS picks, because also with something like the Dragon Arrow, I think there's a lot better engage potential out of the members of ProBUs Drift. But we're actually into our game right now, so let's move on over to it. So on the left side, we've got the members of ProBUs Drift. Cannon Rush, it's going to be Hirobi on the Li Ming. Aruba will be on the Hanzo. ChaosTank playing as a tank. This one will be Johanna. Desda will be playing Lucio. And Badgerlord will be playing as Chen. On the right side of the map, Cael'Thas can't spell. It will be Stoic on the Raynor. D will be playing the Sylvanas. Toones will be playing Anduin. Dorsch on the Muradin. And finally, it is going to be Asmochad playing that Yrel in the solo lane. Our solo lane players choosing not to actually engage in any mid-fight shenanigans and choosing to go straight for the... just going straight to their lanes. Do you see a Sonic Arrow thrown out? And we're going to take a look. So I wanted to know what stacking quest Hanzo would have gotten. So that would be at least some motivation for fighting in the middle right here. Hanzo probably going to be looking for a few stacks to get this game started off. Doesn't have any just quite yet. D is moving forward, putting some damage on Johanna. It will be ChaosTank, who does use Unstoppable Iron Skin there to get out of there. And we're going to see the rotation is quite a bit faster from ProBUs Drift. We do see members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. It's not too far behind. But members of ProBUs Rush should have the better wave clear, so we're seeing right now they do have the better end of the rotation. Aruba rather aggressively looking for more of those Stormbolt stacks. Sorry, not Stormbolt, oh my god. More of those Stormbow stacks. That's a mistake that I actually never expected to make, and one that I didn't actually realize just how similar those two abilities are until actually saying them. So, also a faster rotation by ProBUs Drift to pick up the bruiser camp. Sorry, the turret camp. It will be Aruba and Desda picking that up. Meanwhile, we are going to see same thing on the other side, but just a little bit later to the party. This is a time where I actually almost wonder if it would have been slightly more optimal for Stoic to go there instead. I feel the damage that Raynor puts out, although he did go ace in the hole instead of Exterminator, I have this feeling that he would do slightly better at taking the camp just a little bit faster to help Cael'Thas Can't Spell kind of catch up. They are very, very slightly behind just in terms of, you know, the rotation so far. We already see the members of ProBUs Drift taking a look at the healing camp to see if there might be an opportunity for them to pick that up. So we do see one stack on the target practice for the Hanzo, and Badgerlord actually coming over here to the middle. Looking for a 5-on-4. Doesn't actually get too much out of it, but again, the rotations will be ahead. Badgerlord is actually moving back down to the bottom, and it's going to be a 4v4 to contest the healing camp right here. Okay, just kidding. It's now a 5v4. Asmochad's trying to rotate, but he is coming here a little bit late. So Dorsch trying to see if he can get in there. Okay, they will contest it. D actually teleports in. Unfortunately, she will be the first to go down. Dorsch has to dwarf toss out. Asmochad actually does manage to pick it up, though. Can Asmochad get out of here? He just might. And that might actually just be barely make it worth it going in like that and actually losing a member. That is actually pretty crazy. The fact that Cael'Thas Can't Spell with Asmochad was late there compared to Badgerlord. And the first kill actually went in favor of ProBUs Drift, but Asmochad actually managed to make the hero play and stole the healing camp right out under their noses. It's actually pretty funny to see that. Of course, that Space Goat is rather tough, so it was hard to take her down. Siege camps will be picked up by both sides. As we do see Dorsch as well as Stoic moving around, trying to even out the level difference as they were slightly behind in experience. Percentage is going over on the beacon in favor of ProBUs Drift. Of course, just the way the mechanics of this map works, where you can afford to give up some of the percentage on the shrine and take advantage of that to try to create a macro advantage somewhere else on the map. However, this is a good fight advantage. This is a 5v3. I'm not sure why Badgerlord is going in. This is absolutely not the time, and he absolutely should get killed here, even with all that Chen tankiness, and he will indeed go down. So that was a 5v3. That was a 5v3. And I mean, of course, you know, they were just... ProBUs Drift was just a little bit slower on the rotation, but just as you see that it's a 5v3, gonna need to make that recognition of that it is a 5v3 and that it's time to back out. Unfortunately, it does seem like there might have been some miscommunication or just some, you know, misread intentions based on what was happening in the map. Badgerlord did go in there at a rather inopportune time, and it does end up result in a lot of experience. Sorry, not a lot of experience, but a lot of percentage on the beacon being given over to the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. That also buys Stoic the time to actually clear out the top wave. So now the top pressure has been evened up. Asmochad's going way in, looking for Aruba. The healing camp has also been placed. All things being equal, this should actually be a beacon going in favor of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. They've still got the healing beacon up. It's not up for much longer, but there is them zoning out ProBUs Drift off of the objective. Triglav Protector is picked up, and now it's just a question of what they will do with it. Now, I think the ideal situation is you want to see if you can get the mid-front wall, the top front wall, and then the top fountain. But if you're not sure if you can get all of that, then it's better to actually give up doing much damage on the middle and prioritize the top. Especially, really now that they're here, they want the front wall... The front wall, meaning both the towers and the fountain. But I think the most important thing by far is the fountain to set them up for the next objective. But they have to be real careful here. They had to stay in a little bit longer than they should have just to make sure they got it. However, Toones was super important there. D was... Murden could afford to be in that position, but D could not. So she was pulled out by Toones. Critical plays there. Low death game at the moment. 1-to-1 in kills. Our experience is pretty even, with a slight advantage in favor of ProBUs Drift, but obviously, although they have a slight experience advantage, there are other ways in which Cael'Thas Can't Spell does have the objective, or rather, they do have the advantage. A lot of that being the fact that with that next beacon, as long as they can take it, they will be, well, they have the advantage of having a fountain, whereas the members of ProBUs Drift do not, so that should give them just an advantage in terms of being able to secure the top beacon. So I think it's going to be pretty important here for ProBUs Drift to look and see if they can actually get the healing camp. But instead, we have ChaosTank going in super far. He does use Iron Skin, but he's also so low. They can't seem to finish him off, though. A little bit unfortunate not being able to secure that kill. We did see Murden jump in. I missed if there was even a Stormbolt attempt. It's also possible that the Stormbolt was just missed, which again is part of what I feel is some of the limitations of Murden. Murden having, in my opinion, relatively... I feel the engage is somewhat less reliable than others, as well as the fact that not quite as strong as something like, say, a Garrosh engage. Stormbolt is a very, very missable. Oh my god, let's take a look at this Dragon Arrow. ChaosTank throws in the Blessed Shield as well, and Stoic will be taken down. Can they get more? D is in a really bad position. They're being trapped by that Wandering Keg, and it's only Dorsch who is left, as well as Toones, who will be able to get out of there alive. So, that was a very, very nice engaged with that... with that Dragon Arrow. So I know there was some talk before about the CC. Sometimes just a raw Dragon Arrow is it. Sometimes a raw Dragon Arrow will work. We do also have the Blessed Shield out of Johanna. In that case, we saw the Dragon Arrow into the Blessed Shield, and of course it can also work the other way around. But usually, I think in this case, I think you want the Hanzo to start the engage because you get more benefit of the Dragon Arrow when it is used at longer range. And then you want him to eventually be able to catch up to actually do damage with his basic abilities once the stuns have gone out. Although the Johanna engage, probably more reliable. So things are looking pretty even at the moment. Despite the nice engage and execution out of ProBUs Drift, I'm definitely... this is absolutely still an advantage for Cael'Thas Can't Spell at the moment. They're the ones with the healing camp. They're the ones who have a fountain, whereas the members of ProBUs Drift do not have one. Meanwhile, they're looking to create a further item advantage, looking to pick up yet another turret. Do they have an... Yeah, they do have an existing turret. So they already have one turret. 2 turrets are also on the side of... on the side of ProBUs Drift. We'll see if... They do have a third one available if they so choose. So I think it's even reasonable that they could even rotate out of here, give up some percent, but it doesn't look like they want to do that. It looks like they're just interested in taking the fight now. But again, barring any misplays, Cael'Thas Can't Spell really does have the advantage. A Wailing Arrow goes in, but it is as the members of ProBUs Drift disengage. However, they also disengaged with a sound barrier, so that's relatively even trade with one ult on both sides being used and now being on cooldown, but it was a defensive ult for a offensive ult. All right, they're being really tentative at the moment. Hirobi, if anything... All right. Asmochad choosing to try to engage off of the shrine. Dorsch goes in, does get a stun bolt on Johanna, but that's not exactly the ideal target. Now it is Badgerlord, who is pretty low. Blessed Shield goes out. Attempted... Wandering Keg trying to isolate D, but eventually D is fine. Now Badgerlord's actually isolated, and Badgerlord's in trouble. They should really go for Badgerlord. D is trying to finish off the kill, but finding herself being threatened by Hirobi, might actually be traded out instead, and just barely manages to evade the magic missiles. Meanwhile, ChaosTank is being chased down by Dorsch. Turrets are being thrown down, and I think especially what's important there is that D actually held on to the healing camp. So even with one more engage attempt, the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell can just throw down the healing camp, and that just creates a huge advantage for them. Meanwhile, we do have a few ults back online. Members of ProBUs Drift do have more ults. Healing camp is thrown out. Dorsch is at half health, but the sound barrier is there to help out with the engage. Dorsch tries to jump out, but he does get hit by the wave of force. desdaa is really low. I think the Wailing Arrow went out as well, and we'll have a completely missed arrow. Dorsch is now the one who's really in trouble, and the first kill finally does happen on Murden. But can it be traded out? D is trying to look for some kills. I think Badgerlord will be the next one to go down, however. Oh, no. Stoic is trying to trade out some kills, but Li Ming is just cleaning up with the resets. Man. So, with the way that fight went... Now, of course, I was kind of just hyping up the fact that Cael'Thas Can't Spell has the item. They should be able to win that fight. But, of course, that's just all in theory. And I think a lot of the disruption on Murden, especially with that wave of force that interrupted his dwarf toss, created a situation there where he was able to be picked out. And, oh no. So Asmochad doesn't even look to see if he can stall it out. I think there was a bit of a misplay from the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, though, which is that they choose to continue engaging when I'm pretty sure a few of their members probably still had taps. I think once it was down to... Was it ever down to a 4v4, actually? I'm blanking out now. Let's just move on. Okay, we are going to see the Triglav Protector, piloted by the Lucio as well as the Li Ming. Moving out, looking for the bottom towers, and of course, just with the way the progression of the objectives on this map works, now, although they secured a Triglav Protector from the top, they want to rotate to the bottom because the next Triglav Protector will be in the bottom. And if members of ProBUs Drift can get the next Triglav Protector after doing a lot of damage to this bottom lane, they could set themselves up. Oh, Asmochad is now isolated, but I think he'll get out okay. Attempted Wandering Keg. Asmochad will be pulled out, but still potentially in trouble. Dorsch also in trouble. Does he get out? No. Okay, does have to use Avatar. Unfortunately, the Wailing Arrow is used at a rather unfortunate time, and they decide to continue the engage there. Oh, no. Is this going to be... No, it's going to be 4. Hirobi is now really carrying on that Li Ming. I think they had an opportunity for a clean disengage there, but if there's something that's really going to make things go in favor of the member of ProBUs Drift, it is going to be Hirobi on that Li Ming. It does mean, let's take a look at his build, because I haven't taken a look at the builds, but very good that he actually is going for Calamity, so he really is snowballing with those resets. And even in times where the fight is relatively even, once the first kill has gone in favor of ProBUs Drift, Hirobi is there, able to convert it into 3 or 4. Now with that, they've established a pretty big advantage for themselves this time. This time, they'll be the ones, for the first time in the game, who will actually have the healing camp. So all of the team fight advantages that Cael'Thas can't spell had on the previous beacons, this time it should be ProBUs Drift who does have that advantage with the healing camp. They've got a 16 talent tier advantage for the time being. It looks like they're going to take advantage of that time to just try to push down the top fort as much as they can. I don't think they'll get the whole fort, as we do see Asmachad is just rotating through the lanes to see if he can catch up his team to get them to 16 talent tier. But I'm also concerned about the timing of the next objective, since, you know, we'll have to wait some time before that does come up. And right now we do have even talent tier. We could be in a position where, come time for the last objective, we could see a level 20 talent tier advantage for the members of ProBUs Drift. And it's amazing. For much of this game, to me, it's actually felt pretty even. And there have been times, especially on the objectives with the items, that Cael'Thas can't spell look to have the advantage, but look at the kills. 11 to 1. 11 to 1. And again, a lot of that is on the Li Ming. I feel like without the Li Ming, with just about any other hero, with many other heroes, you'd probably see the score more like 4 to 1 or 3 to 1. But that Li Ming is just snowballing so many kills. Oh my god, look at that engage. And just the instant wipe. Toones is going to go down as well eventually, but can they get more? They're looking for D. D does use a Wailing Arrow defensively, but Aruba aggressively looking to see if he can finish off D. Doesn't look like he'll be so lucky. Even looked a little bit sus for Aruba at the moment. Took a lot of damage from Asmachad on that Yrel. And yeah, I mean, certainly there were many times when this game looked much more even, but the members of ProBUs Drift now are truly running away with this game. They now have a 3-level lead, and now also a level 20 talent tier advantage. Not only looks like it'll happen, but also like the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell won't be able to catch up anytime soon. So they're faced with really, really hard decisions at this time. I think the most important thing they need to do is look for a fight now. They need to look for a fight now. Make it happen. Unfortunately, Stormbolt by Dorsch misses. I think it hit the turret minion. I agree, Zul Rules. The arrow engages. I mean, the arrow engages have been huge. It's been like 3 or 4 members getting hit every time. And by comparison, I think that's part of the big weakness out of the draft of the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, that there really has never been a big engage. Okay, Stormbolt goes in on Johanna, but that's the only target. She does lose about half of her health, but she will get out of there. She does activate Laws of Hope, so she'll be able to heal up just fine, and there's plenty of re-engage potential. And yeah, especially if the members of ProBUs Drift have Dragon Arrow, I think at this point, I think it's safe to say that when they have Dragon Arrow ready, they're the ones with the advantage. Now they have a very real advantage. Level 20 to level 17. 3-level advantages are always so rough to deal with. Aside from the fact that it's a talent tier advantage, the statistical difference when you are down 3 levels is also pretty overwhelming as well. At this point, now it is back down to only 2 levels, but, I mean, that's very much a silver lining out for members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. So now, I did say that they needed a fight before 20. Now they've got a really, really tough decision to face, which is they could try to take the fight down 20, which is generally regarded as a really bad choice. Or they could try to soak to 20, get value around the map, but in the process, that does mean that they are going to lose the Triglav Protector on the bottom, except for the fact that no one from ProBUs Drift is actually on the Triglav Protector. I think this... Oh, but they're looking for an arrow engage, and this one will not connect. That's so important for the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. That is something that actually gives them a chance to get back into this game, the fact that that arrow engage hit nothing. Zul Rules, you bring up a very, very good point, and I should think about that. Of course, one thing we can just say is that I've seen the arrows from both players out of these games. Unfortunately, definitely the better arrows have come out of Aruba on the Hanzo, but I also think you could make the argument that the Dragon Arrow sets up the engages better than the Wailing Arrow, just the nature of how a stun works versus a silence, whereas with a silence, you can still arguably kind of disengage because you can still move. The stun arrow really that's just like a hands-off-the-keyboard moment. So now Cael'Thas Can't Spell This isn't too bad. This isn't too bad, especially given that a lot of the members of ProBUs Drift are not even here. If the Hanzo was here sooner, unfortunately, Badgerlord does find himself in a position where he does need to do some clearing so that they don't lose a keep on their side. And this is actually a great defense. Not only is this a great defense, I think D needs to keep going in because they want to look for a re-engage potential once the Triglav Protector is finished. Unfortunately, some of their members are so low on hit points. Oh, Dorsch took too much damage. The Wailing Arrow went out anyway, which is super unfortunate. Oh, no. I was going to say, ideally, I think they really wanted the potential 4v5 re-engage, but they were taking too much damage where they needed to cycle members out. It is lucky, or rather, perhaps not lucky, but just well played, that they didn't lose a member there. And they still actually have the 4v5 re-engage potential. Hirobi does teleport out with that extended teleport range from Li Ming. Okay, no more 5v4 potential. Now it is just 5v5, but we do have level 20 talent tier advantage picked up. And this is actually a huge stabilization out of the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. It's so important because they've made it to 20. They didn't even lose their keep. In fact, they didn't even lose the entire front wall. So it's a huge stabilization. Now, I would still definitely give the... Oh, but let's take a look at what's going on here. Dorsch jumps in, does get the stun. Stun is on to the Asmo. Sorry, not the Asmo. It is on to the Chen. Meanwhile, Chen is looking to move around, cause some disruption with that Wandering Keg. D is in a bad position, but does just barely manage to teleport out of there. D is looking to see if she can stay in, but unfortunately, there's too much going on, and eventually... it will be Dorsch taken out, trying to see if we can finish off Stoic, and he will get finished off. So it was a good stabilization. I was feeling that they had a chance there, but it's also just a matter of, you know, just so far how they have played. That members of ProBUs Drift have honestly just played better in this game. Their execution on their engages has been far better. Far better. Okay, so that will be a keep taken down. The game is not technically over yet, but we do see the members of... Oh, we're looking to isolate Toones. Unfortunately, the isolation... Okay, Toones did manage to manage that well, managed to go in the direction of the towers as well as the fort, keeping himself alive. And now I think we're at a point where members of ProBUs... Unless they can kill D. D just barely manages to get out of there, but Badgerlord is chasing her. Okay, here is the core attempt, but finally, we are going to have Dorsch back out on the field. He is alive, but the core is starting to take some permanent damage. However, they're not respecting, or maybe they are respecting, but they're just getting hit by those fists out of the core anyway. The new core mechanics. Dorsch is in here. We do see a Wailing Arrow, but it's after the sound barrier. And finally, we might see some engages happen. There will be the Dragon Arrow in response, this time purely used defensively. Asmochad still going in, and they might just barely able to get a kill on ChaosTank. He does not have Indestructible. He went for Blinded by the Light, so he will go down there. And this is... I mean, in general, it really has been ProBUs Drift who has been playing better in this game. But with that kill on Johanna, Badgerlord has to use the Wandering Keg just to ensure that he doesn't get picked there. With that kill on Johanna, this is the perfect opportunity for the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell to still see if they can make this game go in their favor. They've got a lot of pressure in the bottom lane to be worried about. I don't like Murden being here alone. I feel like he should be here with the team, if not helping with the capture, then helping with the anchoring and the zoning, but they don't end up paying for it. Now, just as we do have a little bit of a lull, although we might not have too much of a lull. We might have our team fight soon. I wanted to talk about, the combo of Wailing Arrow and Light Bomb, but I'm just wondering if the fight's going to start real soon. Oh, no, Johanna's still there. So, Wailing Arrow and Light Bomb, yeah, you're right. That definitely could. That definitely has a lot of potential. I think the Light Bomb would be best put on Muradin so that he could Dwarf Toss in. I think... Technically also possible with Asmochad and Avenging Wrath, but I think that would be even harder to execute. As it is, I think it's a harder combo to execute than what ProBUs Drift have. And here is the arrow. Dragon Arrow only hits Dorsch this time, so this might not be the fat Wailing Arrow engage. And this time, okay, the sound barrier is in just in time, manages to keep desdaa up. ChaosTank is still in there, but both ChaosTank and Badgerlord is really low. He doesn't have any other survivability mechanics. And there is the Wailing Arrow, not the Wailing Arrow, the Light Bomb this time, as well as a Triglav Protector picked up by the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. However, we got another problem. They did not do much clear in the bottom lane. They're taking a lot of permanent core damage. I think they need to pick up the Triglav Protector, but they might... Oh, we have Asmochad in there. I was going to say, I think... Oh, no, they're going to send D back, which I don't think is ideal. I think D really needs to push with this, and I feel like Asmochad should have gone back to clear. I think that's a big misplay, and I hope they don't end up paying for it. Because now the towers are doing a lot of damage to the Protector as well as Muradin that otherwise wouldn't be happening with that Sylvanas, with those black arrows. So we do see D trying to join them. Now, D also does have a healing camp. However, this doesn't look like a Triglav Protector that will result in the game being... Doesn't look like it'll result in the game. This is a huge throw potential, but they might also just be thinking to just try to shoot their shot and make the play now. They really need to focus heavy on the core, though. There is a Light Bomb, does manage to stun ChaosTank. They just might take out this game, but unfortunately kills are coming in, and that will be Sylvanas. Not Sylvanas, that is Raynor going down, but Dorsch is still focusing on the core. D is trying to. Does Wailing Arrow around, not Wailing Arrow, Haunting Wave around. D will be killed, but I think that's just barely enough to take out the game. Oh, no! If that doesn't end up... If that's... stops them from taking the game, that would be insane. And I am wrong. I am wrong. And even with, again, I do have some agreement in the chat that, at least as long as I'm understanding correctly, that it really should have been Yrel going back, which I think they... I mean, obviously they won anyway, so in the end it didn't matter too much, but it was starting to look a little suspect. It was starting to look like, do they win here or do they throw here? Luckily for them, they won, and, I mean, look at the difference in kills. We do see a massive kill advantage in favor of the members of ProBUs Drift, but the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell just barely managing to clutch that. But you know what? We do have our draft ready for Game 2 of our series. Again, going to be on Infernal Shrines. It is going to be the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell leading to... Sorry, 1-0. So, you know, moving forward... Now, to be fair, they don't have to use... they shouldn't have to... Okay, they're going to continue the ban on Cael'Thas, just not wanting to deal with that at all. I've talked how it's a very feast or famine hero, and if they can play it... Hey, Valkymer, thank you for coming. If they can play it, that's just something that I wouldn't want to deal with either. Luckily, I don't think they have to use a ban on Li Ming. I'm not sure about their favorite sandwiches. You got to post it in the CCS Discord. I don't think Cael'Thas Can't Spell has to use a ban on Li Ming because it would just be so suboptimal on this map. At the same time, I do think it is... I do think it's still something they could use because a lot of their good engages actually happened off the objective in the previous game. My favorite hydration substance? I mean, if you need hydration, I really think there's really only one viable one, which of course is water. I guess, like, if you're like a super athlete who's going to run like 5 miles a day and bench, 300 pounds, then you can maybe justify Gatorade. Anything else probably has some unnecessary stuff. Just got to go with the classic of water. Not something that I really like the taste of, but when it's hydration you need, it's got to be water. I could do a commercial for water right here. But anyway, let's not talk about water anymore. Let's talk about some bans. So this time it does look like the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, they're not interested in picking up the Sylvanas, which does surprise me. They've shown that they can play it. Of course, it is a highly prioritized hero for ProBUs Drift, but I would think that they would want to pick it up themselves. They show that they can play it in the last game. I think it's very good on this map with the synergy with... I mean, it's good really with any of the, like, AI... Certainly any of the AI-controlled objectives, as well as a lot of the objectives that are vehicle objectives, basically. So, Dorsch has heard my wishes. He has picked a non-Muradin tank, and he has gotten the Johanna, which, again, I very much approve of. Johanna, although she doesn't... Out of all those tanks, she doesn't have the strongest engage, especially pre-10. Ooh, but we are going to see the Varian. Varian was banned out the last time by the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, and this time it has gone through. Now, we're seeing that ChaosTank is the one who is locked in the Varian, and Hirobi has the Jaina. Now, this looks like it's building towards a blow-up comp. You want that Varian taunt with the Jaina follow-up. I wouldn't be surprised. I wonder just what else they have to go behind that. Something like maybe a Greymane. D this time will be playing as the Cael'Thas, and Toones will be picking up the Lucio. So I'm just trying to guess what the next potential picks could be out of ProBUs Drift, because it's clear already that they are building towards a blow-up comp. Varian being a hero who... I was recently making some comments, I think, in Murda's stream, that the big problem with Varian is that he's honestly kind of bad, which, of course, is, like, not exactly a super insightful statement, but it's also one that's kind of true. But if we just think about what does Varian actually do, he has the taunt, the charge taunt combo, which... It's very limited, it's very one-note, it's very one-dimensional, but if you can execute it, it is very powerful. And, oh, you know what? Tuna B making super important observation, which is that we do have a no-cleanse healer on the side of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, which is very, very worrisome against what appears to be a taunt blow-up composition. And the fact that it's ChaosTank who locked in the Varian also really makes it look that way, since he was their tank player rather than Badgerlord locking in the taunt Varian, or rather the Varian. If it was Badgerlord, that would make it more likely that it would be a Twin Blades or a... God, why is it so hard to think of these things? Colossus Smash Varian. So meanwhile, Deckard is brought out on the side of ProBUs Drift. Yes, of course. Lucio can get a cleanse. Kappa. Ooh, I actually really like the Greymane pickup by the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, in part because it denies it to... Oh, no, wait. I was going to say denies it to the members of ProBUs Drift, but then I realized Aruba already locked in the Rainer. I would have liked the Greymane more than the Rainer on the side of ProBUs Drift. The Rainer is at least more, a lot more versatile than the Greymane, a little bit more independent, but I don't think he synergizes as well against the... I don't think he synergizes as well with the Varian. We'll see if they can make it work, though, as we move on into Game 2 of this series. So, looking at these drafts, this time I am personally... There are a lot of factors here. I'm personally going to give a slight edge to the draft for Cael'Thas Can't Spell in this one. I think it's a more reliable, more stable draft. Strong on the shrines. Both teams actually have pretty good shrine clear, but I think the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell have a little bit better shrine clear. And whereas the draft out of ProBUs is... It's kind of one-dimensional, not as flexible, because it's going to depend heavily on those Varian taunt engages. But before I talk any further about that, let's just get into our game, introduce our players and our teams. On the blue side, it's going to the members of ProBUs Drift. ChaosTank will now be playing the Varian. desdaa on the Deckard. Aruba playing the Rainer this time, the Jimmy Rainer. Hirobi will be playing as Jaina, and Badgerlord will be on the Blaze. Their opponents, Cael'Thas Can't Spell, leading 1-0 in this series. D will now be on the Cael'Thas. Dorsch will be playing as the Johanna. Stoic will be playing as the Greymane, somewhat lagging behind for some reason. Catch up. Toones will be playing as the Lucio, and finally it will be Asmochad on the Sonya. Took me a little while there. So, what do we have in terms of any stacks that our players might want to get? So, Lion's Maw stacking also for Rainer, sorry, not for Rainer, for Varian, very much indicates that it's extremely likely. At this point, it's almost guaranteed that we're going to see a taunt Varian. Technically, theoretically, you could see a main tank Blaze, but we already see that it's really our tank player out of ProBUs Drift who is on the tank hero, or rather, he is the tank player, and he is playing the Varian, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be taunt Varian. Okay. Now, of course, one of the weaknesses that we see out of the members of ProBUs Drift is that they are going to be a little bit weaker, certainly until level 4, before ChaosTank does manage to pick up his heroic, or his specialization. Until then, it's almost like they don't have a tank. ChaosTank, however, will be rotating out through the lanes, and this time it is the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell who are going to have a better end of the rotations. So they will, well, better end of rotating through the lanes. We are going to see, okay, Siege Camp will be picked up by both teams, but the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell actually looking to pick up the contested Siege Camp right in the middle. That still gives them time to pick up their own. Meanwhile, how's our solo lane matchup going? We do see Badgerlord quite a bit lower health than Asmochad. Asmochad presumably putting pressure on him. Unfortunately, there Asmochad does get stunned out of his whirlwind, something I think he's got to be a little bit careful of. I think he could really just, you know, put a lot of damage pressure on with the seismic slams onto Badgerlord. Since typically one of the weaknesses of Blaze in the solo lane is that he's not very good at dueling, so it's very much up to Asmochad to actually be able to put a lot of pressure on him, to try to scare him out of the lane, force him to use taps prematurely. Okay, wave will be cleared in the bottom by the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell as they look for another rotation, possibly even an engage. Dorsh is coming around the corner, does get a condemn, but it's only onto Varian, who does indeed pick up the taunt. Any other interesting talent pickups that we see? None that I can think of. Shot of Fury, there are... I think I very much would have preferred to seed the Whirlwind talent at that tier, since there are plenty of slows and roots on the side of ProBUs Drift that would be easily cleansed by the Whirlwind talent for Sonya at level 4. Between both the Rainer, sorry, not the Rainer, the Jaina as well as the Deckard. All right, so camp advantage will be pushing in favor of the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. ChaosTank is looking for something, but can he get it? ChaosTank will start it. It has been started. Dorsh goes in for a condemn. It only hits ChaosTank, though. Asmochad, meanwhile, going in a little bit too aggressively with the Whirlwind, constantly getting it canceled. Asmochad is pretty low, but they might be able to trade out a kill first. No, it is Asmochad who goes down first, but they do trade out a kill onto Badgerlord, and they're still positioned on the shrine, so they will still continue to get minions. Much of their clear is still here in the form of D's Cael'Thas as well as Stoic's Greymane. Dorsh is super low, though. So Dorsh needs to be super careful. Unfortunately, they do have a Lucio, which doesn't exactly provide a whole lot of burst healing, and isn't something that's going to be able to quickly top up the Johanna when she does get that low. So finally, we do see... Oh, no! Toones does find himself getting caught a little too far forward with the Johanna off the shrine to go tap. That will be a kill. Okay, and now we see, although we do see the kill for the members of ProBUs Drift, I think what they're looking for, they're going to see if they can get the kills anyway. I think it's mostly up to Asmochad. I think Asmochad has the best chance, but I think part of that also means, okay, no, they're going to see if they can actually get the kill on ChaosTank. Oh, but the counter engages there with Badgerlord. Unfortunately, I think going too hard in for the counter kill, I think they might be giving up that opportunity. No, just they actually did manage to get all the skeletal defenders. I think just some flame strikes out of D were able to secure the skeletal defenders, and that will be the Punisher pushing in their favor. It will be baited over by ChaosTank, but this isn't going too well for them at the moment. Toones, I think, needs to be really careful. We see him again positioning ahead of his tank, and we did see how he got punished for that on the shrine before. Luckily, his team didn't pay too hard for it. So, now, one of the things moving forward that we could also see, we do have a Varian at 13. Varian could theoretically get Shattering Throw, and that's even something that could potentially punish a Johanna with Iron Skin. Okay, here they're looking for an engage. This is a 4v5, and so this is a 4v4 engage, but D is super low. I think they might need to get out of there. They're seeing if they can... Oh, the first kill does go out onto Dorsh on Johanna, but he did stay there long enough that he was able to get the mercenary camp. Yes, for those of you who may not be familiar with him, we have here the chattest of Asmos, also known as the Cael'Thas Chad, former member of Please Clap, a two-time division finalist team, but now joining the CCS family on Cael'Thas Can't Spell. Level 10s are coming dangerously close, but we see Toones again. Toones, why is Toones so far forward? That makes it easier for ChaosTank to come in, look for that taunt engage. Now, all of the backline for the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, they're being super wary of ChaosTank, because ChaosTank is trying to look for the taunt engage on someone who isn't Johanna. But at least for that past engagement, Dorsch was positioning in a way, as well as the rest of his team was positioning in a way that Varian would really have to go pretty far past Johanna. And although, of course, he's looking for the backline, Varian also just needs to be careful himself, because he's, despite being quote-unquote a tank, he's pretty vulnerable himself. Oh, especially with that cursed bullet going in on him directly. He now has lost a lot of his health. Asmo Chad, the chattest of Asmos, will be helping to push down this middle fort. They will definitely pick up the destruction on this middle fort. There it is. The chattest of Asmos will be finishing it off. The Chad Modan, if you will. As I steal things from the chat. Trademarked by a Ute Pop, though. All right, so members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, however, they do have the opportunity to pick up their Bruiser Camp. Will be able to counter the push. In fact, I think this will end up probably giving Cael'Thas Can't Spell a little bit of a push advantage, because they will have cleared out the Bruiser Camp. Asmo Chad, the biggest Chad, is making sure of that himself. Seismic slamming that, whatever that Bruiser Mage guy is called. Dorsch pushing forward. Oh, of course, they're going to see that there is the push by the members of ProBUs Drift on the bottom. This does not look like an even trade. This is definitely a trade in favor of the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. They could even potentially look for a kill on Badgerlord. Might be a little ambitious, and now they do have to worry about the rotation. Let's see if they get caught by the rotation. Again, Toones, his positioning worrying me a little bit, but I think they will be okay. Now it's Stoic's positioning, who I'm very concerned about. Okay, so they will... Oh, but now the real positioning problem will be for Aruba. I feel like he was... If just ProBUs Drift had won that last game, I would have called Aruba the MVP of last game. Certainly played so well. Unfortunately, really getting caught out there, and that will just be them going down. Or rather, well, not them, because, you know, Aruba is only one singular person. So Asmo Chad is looking for just some of the soak in the lane, although I think he does need to be careful when you've got a Jaina as well as, you know, both a Varian as well. Okay, Varian's coming around the back. Varian could find the taunt engage, but will the follow-up be in time? D does activate the Arcane Barrier. There will be a sleep as well as some more things, but the lowest person is ChaosTank. Hirobi's all the way in the back line trying to make some things happen, but I think it might just be more to Hirobi's detriment. Meanwhile, Badgerlord does manage to get out of the bunker, but not out alive. Asmo Chad going in farther, but I think now's the time for Asmo Chad to disengage before he does end up dying. Aruba trying to make some solo plays there, but it's going to be another Punisher picked up by the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. Looking quite a bit stronger in this game. Certainly making some of those adjustments, picking the not Muradin tank, and doing quite a bit better with it. Meanwhile, I also feel it's kind of like a draft misplay by the members of ProBUs Drift. The Varian engages have not really been working out. I think they did have one successful Varian engage, but ever since then, the positioning out of Cael'Thas Can't Spell has been good enough that Varian has just had to put himself at too much risk to try to get those taunt engages. He's just not really a safe tank. I think it's something that, especially like at the Div D or Div C level, it can work, especially if your opponents have bad position. You can punish that bad positioning, arguably better than maybe with other tanks. And I think a lot of it also just has to do with the ease of execution if you actually can land the Varian taunt. Okay, meanwhile, it'll be a 5-man push in the bottom lane with a very brief 13 talent tier advantage, but Dorsch is super low. Does manage to get out of there just in time. Does manage to activate the Iron Skin to get out of there. Okay, level 13 talents will be picked up. Going to be the Holy Fury to improve the effectiveness on Johanna, on the shrines. ChaosTank positioning in these bushes. Oh no, Dorsch. Dorsch could be in trouble. Dorsch checks the wrong bush. Okay, Dorsch will just help his team with clearing that up. I also like, actually, the Lucio with the Johanna. Normally, one of Johanna's weaknesses is that she's not the strongest in terms of engage, especially once Blessed Shield is on cooldown. So I think the Lucio with that speed boost can help sometimes speed Johanna in to get those condemns. I also really got to shout out Asmochad here for not picking Leap. Really knows what's up. Oh no! Badgerlord, what's happened? Now Badgerlord, just because he's Blaze, he still has a chance to survive this. If anything, I'm worried that bunker might be a little bit early, but here's the team. Does manage to stall it out. Thank God for bunker. So another shout out to Badgerlord also for going for the bunker, but this is not looking like the engage that the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell wanted. They do lose D there on the Cael'Thas. They might also lose the chattest of Admos as well. Indeed, they do. Toones might be the next one. Wow! What a push-off. That's one of the best push-offs I've ever seen. I'm pretty sure he was dead there if he did not use push-off that particular time. Dorish got to be real careful anchoring in that bush. Could even die, even as Johanna. Okay, so members of ProBUs Drift will take advantage of that time to... They will take advantage of that time to pick up the Bruiser Camp from the other side of the map. Getting a little bit of lag there. All right. Meanwhile, Hirobi as well as Aruba looking to get some push. They will take out the towers in this top lane. Front wall will be gone. Very, very brief 16 talent tier advantage. Perhaps this could be the time that the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell look for a quick engage, maybe even look for the invade, because they would have an invade with 16 talent tier advantage, but they're just a little bit too late on it, so they will not be getting that. But they will be here on the shrine earlier. I think if they're here, they need to start it earlier. They have the better clear. Let's see if they can make it happen. Already about a lead. Unfortunately, this time, we did see Stoic go in, trying to use Worgen to help clear the shrine, but that did put him in a bad position and actually made the taunt engage possible. It's going to be 2 kills for the members of ProBUs Drift. Both Johanna as well as Greymane will be down. Badgerlord! I was going to say, get back in the bunker. Oh, D and Toones need to be super careful here. I think they need to just, like, back off entirely, because if they're trying to, like, snipe any skeletal defenders, they could absolutely get taunted by Varian and blown up. So rather unfortunate there. What, in my opinion, decided that engagement was the fact that Stoic used Worgen form to try to clear the... just try to clear the skeletal defenders, and in part just because he'll do more damage in Worgen form. So theoretically, it's not theoretically, it should be faster clear. Meanwhile, Asmochad's in a huge amount of trouble. Does manage to get away. I think he'll be fine. Unfortunately, that left him in a position where he was able to... Oh, Asmochad needs to be careful. That left Stowe in a position where he could get taunted. Meanwhile, ChaosTank is in a huge amount of trouble. Pyroblast will go out. I don't think... Oh, no. desdaa does have enough health to survive this. Also gets into the bunker. But now desdaa needs to get back in the bunker. Okay, does have a potion. D is in trouble. Unfortunately, going a little bit too far forward there. So, and I know, like, for Greymane, it is optimal in terms of shrine clear to... basically, you will clear faster in Worgen form, but I think there just needs to be the realization there that against the comp that they're dealing with, that kind of blow-up comp, I think it's better to keep Greymane in Worgen form there, so that you will be safer. You still do decent shrine clear, even with Greymane in human form, I think I meant to say. I think I accidentally said Worgen form. Keep him in human form. It's safer, slightly worse damage on the shrine clear, but it just keeps it safer so that he's not in that position to get taunted the way he was in that particular engagement. So things looking a little bit more even. Slight advantage for Cael'Thas Can't Spell. They do have a structure advantage, but this is also very much a game that could go either way. Oh, no! They're caught out of position yet again. Stoic does not make it out alive this time. So, members of ProBUs Drift slowly creeping their way back into this game. They actually have a kill advantage now. even though Cael'Thas Can't Spell has looked better for much of this game. Even things like here, I think both D and Toones need to just back up and just be ready to just concede that fort. It only has like 10% of its hit points left. It's not worth it to try to defend that fort if you're exposing either of your Cael'Thas or your Lucio to a potential Varian taunt engage. Because now the taunt engages are actually working. Okay, Dorsch will be anchoring in this bush, so any taunt engage will be rather obvious. It is a it's a potential 5v4, but it looks like the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell are choosing to give this up, choosing not to be too risky here. They are now behind in experience, but I think if they manage the lanes well enough, especially if they try to get the soak in this middle lane, could even see about even rotating to the bottom to get to the bottom. I even think it might even be worth it to rotate out to those lanes to try to get 20, even if it means giving up the top fort. Although perhaps, maybe not, because they want to keep their fountain here. So actually, I think I'm wrong about that. If there was no fountain here, I would even be willing to give up the top fort just to make sure that they get 20 in time for the next shrine. Now, this next shrine in the top lane, as long as the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell can get to 20, it's definitely one that favors them because they still have a structure to go through to slow the Punisher down. They also do still have a fountain to tap in the middle of a fight, but we see they're not quite there yet. I think maybe this wave along with the Bruiser camp, if they clear that, it'll be just enough. But we do see Asmo Chad, the chattest of Asmo, still looking to see if he can pick up 20 in other lanes. They do get it, but that does mean that the members of ProBUs Drift are positioned on the shrine first. They will get the advantage, and now we actually have the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell run out of time. Level 20s are picked up. Ignore Pain, Indestructible, all survivability mechanics. Meanwhile, Varian is super low. I think, if anything, I say they go for Varian, but we do have Asmo Chad on the backline, which is probably a better use of his time. A lot of heals coming in for ChaosTank, and it will be Asmo Chad going down first. Unfortunately, this is looking disastrous. Dorsch will stay alive because of the fact that he had Indestructible. Going to see if he can use that to trade out some kills. They will be able to stabilize at least without losing any members of their team. Of course, the bunker saving Hirobi from the Pyroblast. And that is why you got to pick bunker. That's not even the only reason. I'm just a huge believer in bunker. I'm very much someone who was a huge fan of HGC. I watched HGC. In HGC, bunker had like a 99% pick rate. I'm pretty sure like in Division S, it probably has a similar pick rate. Of course, at Div C, Div D, and now even Div E levels, you will more commonly see the combustion picked up. So it really warms my heart because, it's Blaze. He's warm. To actually see not only bunker picked up, but to actually see it used well, just like that. To completely nullify the value of the Pyroblast. All right, this is still potential advantage. ChaosTank is looking for a taunt engage. Dorsch and Asmo Chad are up in front. Asmo Chad does activate Nerves of Steel. It's now, okay, Dorsch does realize that he is in trouble and does activate Iron Skin before a taunt comes in on him when he's only at half health. Dorsch needs to be really careful. Those Arcane Sentries are burning him alive. Okay, he doesn't go down there, but they do lose the keep. And again, they were lucky. Well, not lucky. It's just the circumstances benefited them that it was a top lane Punisher. They had two structures to go through. They ended up losing both of them, which means that their core stays alive. All right, then. So, level 20s, obviously in for both players. I didn't really point out all of them. Now I guess we do have some more chances to look at them. So the Indestructible, Indestructible. I'm still a big believer in Indestructible. Ever since the changes, ever since Storm Shield was turned into Blinded by the Light, and then especially after Radiating Faith was buffed, there was a big movement on Reddit trying to defame Indestructible and saying that it's not a good talent anymore, which I think is complete... Oh no, Asmo Chad, be careful. Which I think is complete baloney. I do think Radiating Faith is a great talent, and I definitely see reasons to pick Blinded by the Light as well, but I do very much still believe in Indestructible. I also like the Bossa Nova. I haven't seen people pick that up as much in a while, but it basically just means that Sound Barrier will be up when you need it. You won't have it'll be pretty rare to have times where it's like, oh, need a sound barrier, but it's on cooldown. Giving it a 30-second cooldown, of course, does make it slightly less effective, but just having it up every 30 seconds is just huge. Meanwhile, the flamethrower out of Cael'Thas. On the other side, we do see the execute out of Raynor. Glory to the Alliance. I don't even remember that one. I usually see the demoralize, and we see the attempted bush gank. Dorsch is very nice. Very nice shield glare to scout out that bush gank. Okay, Asmochad positioning a little far forward. Asmochad needs to be really careful with the setup that the members of ProBUs Drift have. They have it in themselves to burn down an Asmochad. Even if of course the ideal case is that they can stun him for long enough that he can't activate Ignore Pain. But even with that, I think there is I do think they can actually kill an Asmochad. Upgraded bunker. Oh my god. I love you, Badgerlord. Going for actual good talents. Wintermute, they're going to try to kill Asmochad right in front of his base. See, they can do it. Yeah, even with all of his cooldowns used. I definitely saw the Ignore Pain. They can literally kill an Asmochad right in front of the towers. That is huge. This... I mean, I hate to say things prematurely, but that's very much a setup that makes it look like we're going to be going to a Game 3 in this series. So it looks like they're recognizing that they're not going to be able to deal with this. They're just not going to be able to take the 5v4. So they will... I mean, I guess they basically just push out the lanes. They'll pick up the keep here. The fort, rather. They'll take it. Of course, now they need to get ready to defend. Sonya will be up very soon, but this is worrisome. I think it's going to be very, very difficult to clear this, to clear the Punisher, especially because they're a little behind on getting there, to clear the Punisher and make sure that they can survive and engage that's in combination with the Punisher. Certainly, the keep is absolutely gone. They need to put a huge amount of damage on the Punisher, minimize the effectiveness of a possible engage, accidentally moving the camera. Oh, sound barrier is too early out of Toones. That's also a big problem as well. I think, actually, this is just going to be the end of the game. Core is already down to 60%. It doesn't even matter if there are kills, because that's 100%. Game 2 going in favor of ProBUs Drift Cannon Rush. So, in both games, we have a kill advantage for the members of ProBUs Drift Cannon Rush. Obviously, coming back a lot in that game, even though the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell looked pretty strong in the early game. And finally, we are going to get into our draft for game number 3. All right, then. So after everything we've seen... And you know what? I do recall that the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, they did ban Varian in Game 1. But they didn't ban Varian in Game 2. So it's possible they might see as like, oh, they didn't ban Varian and then they kind of paid for it. Even though I don't feel that way. And as we can see, Cael'Thas is just perma-banned. Just not wanting to deal with that at all. Just not letting it through. That is 3 bans. 3 Cael'Thas bans against the members of ProBUs Drift Cannon Rush. So let's take a look at what our first band will be coming out of the side of ProBUs Drift Cannon Rush, and it will be the Zool band yet again. So that Zool, just something that they don't want to deal with. A very meta band at this choice, just whether a team plays it or not. Although I think it's also something that, you know, if you're a solo laner for your team, it's probably something that you need to be able to play. Alternatively, you could also possibly see about a main tank Zool, which has been a thing in the past. I think even before the rework. Second band will be on Sylvanas. I guess my assumption of the thought process on the side of... Oh, and we are going to Cursed Hollow. I forgot to point that out. I'll even see if in the chat if I can find out who picked that, except for the fact that apparently right now. I do not have access to the chat whatsoever. So, just kidding. I won't find out who picked that. Never mind. I'm guessing the thought process on the side of Cael'Thas Can't Spell is they're asking themselves, do we want Sylvanas? And if the answer is no, then they ban it. Because clearly they can play it themselves, but it's such a commonly played hero on the side of ProBUs Drift that if they're not going to play it, they don't want to let them have it. Lunara ban is honestly rather strange. It's strange mostly because I feel it's really, really not a ban-worthy hero. But I do know that I'm pretty sure it's just something that Stoic plays. So it's more of a target ban. And just trying to put Stoic in a position where he is possibly uncomfortable by taking out one of his hero choices. But again, I really feel it's a hero that is not actually ban-worthy. Oh, okay. So the Varian makes it through again. So they're going to be looking for that Varian, those Varian tank blow-up engages, the taunt blow-up engages. And this time they will take the Li Ming, since this is not a map where Li Ming suffers. It's actually one where she is quite good. So we will see the Li Ming. We will see the Li Ming as part of the taunt follow-up. Of course, they're going to need more. I think it would actually be pretty good if they did go for a Greymane. That really ensures that whatever gets taunted by the Varian has very, very little chance of surviving. Toones this time does pick a cleanse healer, though. So at the very least, as long as Toones isn't the one who is caught by the taunt, he can cleanse out the taunt engage. Of course, there's still damage follow-up, but at least that player the player who does get taunted can put their hands back on their keyboard, potentially get away from the damage, maybe use a defensive ability or a mobility ability. Raynor will be banned out this time. So the focus, they're actually trying to choke out Stoic on heroes, but we know at least one choice is we know he plays the Greymane, so that's still a potential choice for him. But I also think it's very possible that the members of ProBUs Drift can steal the Greymane and then further limit Stoic's choices. And I think they really should do something like that. I really want to see the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell pick up their damage dealer here. Although actually it might be better for them to pick up the Hanzo and go for more of those arrow engages, since we know that's something that Aruba is very good at. The team as a whole got a lot of mileage out of that in the first game, despite not actually taking the first game. Regardless of what the damage dealer is, I want to see the damage dealer pick up here and not save for the last pickup. And it will be the Hanzo. Okay, yeah. I think originally I wanted the Greymane because of the synergy with the Varian, as well as denying it to Stoic. So I foresee a Greymane pickup from Stoic. I'm not sure what else he has left in his hero pool. Greymane's just something that I know that he does have. I feel the synergy between the Hanzo and the Varian is a little bit weird, because if it's a short-range Varian engage, the Hanzo does not synergize as well as the Greymane would have. But the Hanzo strikes me as a better choice specifically for Aruba because of what we've seen he can do with those arrow engages. So much of the draft for ProBUs Drift is built around that engage potential. Both the Dahaka as well as the Malfurion also contribute to that, where whatever gets stunned will also get some grass under its feet to root it to the ground. And the Dahaka, of course, you know, the thing about Dahaka is that Dahaka is very literally a miss or hit hero, since much of playing Dahaka revolves heavily around two short-range skill shots that are actually pretty easy to miss, basically the tongue and the isolation, or technically drag is what it's called. But you know, when you've got a taunt engage, when you've got dragon arrow engages, it's very, very easy to get a drag right after that, which just extends the CC duration. All right, then we will be getting into game number 3 in our series. It's here. It's the final game on Cursed Hollow. On this side, the blue team, we are going to have the members of... Oh, and I think I haven't been zooming out. You guys got to remember to tell me to do that. We are going to have the members of ProBUs Drift. It will be ChaosTank on the Varian. desdaa will be on the Malfurion. Hirobi on the Li Ming. Aruba will be playing Hanzo. And Badgerlord will be on the Dahaka. Meanwhile, on the side of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, D will be playing the Cael'Thas yet again. Dorsch will be playing the Johanna yet again. Toones this time will be playing as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. masquerading as Rhaegar. Stoic will be playing Greymane again, and Asmochad once again on the Arel like he was in the first game. Now this time, I gotta be honest and say, although based on everything so far, this is going to make me seem kind of wishy-washy, but this time I'm actually kind of feeling the draft on the side of ProBUs Drift a little bit more. I actually think, but the problem is this time I'm not just saying their draft in a vacuum. I'm also saying what I know about their draft as well as how I know that they play. And I think what also makes the variant a little less of a penalty than how I gave it last game is having the Hanzo there, where the Hanzo can really be the one to set the engage, and the variant can just keep it going even longer. So, of course, the Badgerlord on that Dahaka, I think, is also a pretty nice advantage for them, since that definitely gives them a soaking advantage, where Dahaka can delay his rotation to the objective since he is able to burrow, whereas Asmochad on Yrel will have no such capabilities. So that does have the potential to create experience advantages, and by extension, talent tier advantages when we get around to a few of our objectives, although it's actually a slight lead for Cael'Thas Can't Spell in experience at the moment, and now it's been pretty much evened out and eventually taken in favor of the members of ProBUs Drift. I was literally watching the experience bars there for both teams. Yeah, where is the experience for Cael'Thas Can't Spell? Why is it not coming in? And I'm honestly really surprised to see this. The Siege Camp was picked up by the members of ProBUs Drift. Not picked up at all by the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. And that's something that Greymane could have done alone. Honestly, Rhaegar could have gotten that Siege Camp alone. But so far, no one has picked it up. I mean, I guess at this point, save it maybe for the objective. We see ChaosTank looking in the shadows, trying to look for D. D is caught out just a little bit. There will be some follow-up by Li Ming, but at this point, he doesn't actually get the taunt off, so there actually was very, very little follow-up. Some of Hirobi's skill shots even missing there. We are going to see the Bruisers cleared out, but the Bruisers will be picked up this time by the members of ProBUs Drift, as we do have Stoic now getting the Siege Camp alone, so he will choose to actually time it with the objective instead of going for it immediately as soon as it appears and spawns on the map. And somehow it's now actually a pretty significant level lead for the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. It's almost a full level lead, and if they can stall this out a little bit, they can even possibly get a level 7 talent tier advantage. So Asmochad, we do see continuing to soak the experience here in a position where he could, of course, just jump over. I think he used Hand of Freedom on himself, and they will be taking out ChaosTank. ChaosTank gets so low. He's so low in hit points. He is forced to tap, so there at least is re-engage potential, but he's also somewhat zoned out. I think the zoning on this will give the first tribute over to the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell, and indeed I am correct. Meanwhile, they're going to take advantage of this time to continue to push the top lane with the Greymane. They have a huge amount of siege potential, so they will get the front wall. However, here is the rotation. Although Aruba coming from that angle does look a little bit suspect. Luckily, there is no real hard engage potential out of Cael'Thas Can't Spell yet until we see level 10 come in and Dorsh picks up the Blessed Shield. And that is going to be a very, very fast tribute coming in for the second tribute in this game. Dorsh on half health, so he does need to get a few heals. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's really necessary to back to base just to heal up when you could just wait for Rhaegar's heals to slowly come in. And now I think they need to be real careful here. I think they need to rotate around and go this way. Otherwise, yeah, Toones needs to be super careful there. They can't, because with that bush positioning, they need to be really, really careful. Okay, taunt will actually go in on Johanna. Won't be enough to kill her, though. Toones comes in from the back. So does Asmochad. And now Dorsh goes back in, but he does not have Iron Skin this time. We are going to have a little bit of lag during our team fight. Dorsh is super low, though. Unfortunately, that Rhaegar is not exactly the highest throughput healer in the game, and we also don't even see Healing Totem picked up, so the overall throughput for Rhaegar is going to be a little bit on the lowish side. That means we do have members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell at low health, and we did actually see a cleanse on Stoic to try to help him survive. I think he can get out of there with a disengage. Didn't even really need it. They weren't targeting him anymore, but I do think this Can the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell turn this fight around? Somehow Malfurion just gets... They're literally... They have them trapped here in these trees. They actually managed to lock them in. It's almost like a budget entomb. I don't know what Toones is doing there, though. Like this part right here. This was like a budget entomb. They literally found an entomb on the map, and they put Malfurion in there. That was actually kind of crazy. All right, so Dorsch will be looking for some wave clear. Of course, Johanna, just as Johanna's signature is that she is kind of the wave clear tank. Let's also take a look. So Johanna did not go for Sins Exposed, which is usually what I see for people who want to emphasize wave clear. But the Eternal Retaliation does potentially have more use actually in team fights, since you will be able to have Condemn up more often. I actually remember and miss the days when Eternal Retaliation had no cap. It did not have a target maximum, and I think the cooldown reduction was 1 second, so it was completely possible if you hit a minion wave to actually just spam it back to back. And even in team fights, you could get a lot of condemns just on quick cooldowns. There's some old videos going back all the way to 2015, watching the finals between MVP Black and Team DK at Super League 2015, where Noblesse was putting out a lot of condemns with that talent. Of course, we're talking way, way long ago now. I am the kind of caster who will just somehow throw out references to HGC and even pre-HGC competitive matches. Okay, Hirobi is starting to channel. Can they get an interrupt? There will be an interrupt, but Blessed Shield is already out, so that means that's the main engage potential. There's the taunt onto Dorsch. Dorsch is pretty low. Silence, so can't use Iron Skin, but the Ancestral Healing was in time. Asmachad goes in, and this time it does look like, oh no, Badgerlord is super body blocked, and I think he will go down here. And somehow, ChaosTank is going to get picked up as well. Asmachad does manage to go in, and this time, oh, this is the time. I was going to say, this is the time when we're going to see some Pyroblast value. But Asmachad just says, nope, no Pyroblast value this game. But this time, the members of ProBUs Drift do not have nearly as good tools for actually denying the Pyroblast getting value. Now, Varian can, of course, use Shield Wall, but Malfurion, oh man. You know, at first I was saying I feel like the draft is in favor of the members of ProBUs Drift, but when I see Hanzo, when I see Malfurion, when I see a Li Ming who went power hungry at level 1, I think the Pyroblast actually has the potential to get a huge amount of value here. And we actually, for the first time in this series, we have a kill advantage in favor of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. And I'm kind of taking back my predictions here, which is, with everything that I'm seeing right now, oh no, ChaosTank, where are you going? Going right into the stun circle. All right, he gets lucky to get out of there alive. With everything I'm seeing now, I actually really feel that Cael'Thas Can't Spell have the tools that they need to take this game. So we are going to see Asmachad on that Urel already starting the boss. They have a level 13 talent tier advantage, so obviously pretty slim chance that we will see the invade. And of course the invade potential from ProBUs Drift not really going to be there given their current positioning, as we do see Dahaka just trying to clear out the lanes. But at this point, I actually think Pyroblast is one of the biggest strengths that Cael'Thas Can't Spell have going for them. I actually 100% think this is a Pyroblast game. This is not a Phoenix game. Now, Phoenix is also just consistent. It's easy to get value out of it. But Hanzo, as strong of a hero as he is, has very little defense. Very little defense against the Pyroblast. Once he's below like a certain health threshold, I mean, it's basically whatever the damage is of Pyroblast. If he ever gets below 1,528 health, he's probably going to die if a Pyroblast is just put on him. So a lot of pressure is on desdaa to keep both Hanzo and Hirobi, Hanzo and Li Ming really topped up to reduce the likelihood that they can just be finished off by a Pyroblast. Oh no, but Stoic gets pulled in and taunted, but oh no! Toones almost managed to pull off the save. It was so close, but he doesn't quite get it. I thought he was going to get it there, but I think the final Stormbro hit out of Aruba was enough to finish him off. And now they're looking for more. This isn't quite the disengage that they had hoped for. Okay, Toones needs to just get out. I don't even think Asmochad should be going in. Now, if you think about it, you know, just to drone on more and more about the Pyroblast thing, Hanzo, rather amazingly, is one of the most vulnerable assassins to Pyroblast. Because if you think about it, a lot of other assassins have either some kind of stasis or they have some kind of armor. You've got Raynor, who can get 25 armor on demand if you get fight or flight. Even Vala, who is so paper thin, can get Gloom at level 13, minimum of 20 baseline armor with a maximum possible of 50 if you activate it. So even she has a better time against a Pyroblast Cael'Thas than a Hanzo. Li Ming, I'm also a little concerned about. If she had gone Force Armor at level 1, I honestly wouldn't be that worried about her. But because she didn't, I actually am worried about her. I think she's actually very vulnerable to Pyroblast. And then, of course, there's Malfurion himself. And any one of these is a viable target. So I think a lot, given what I've just said, a lot does kind of rest on the shoulders of D to get like high-value Pyroblasts. Of course, in that last engagement, they managed to win the team fight even without the Pyroblast, so maybe it's not all on her shoulders. But she definitely has a lot in her hands. A lot of this game is in her hands. Okay, this is good timing for the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. 15 talent tier advantage, 20 seconds left. It's going to be a super close call to see if ProBUs Drift can actually manage to get level 20. Sorry, not level 20, level 16 before this tribute starts. And I don't think they will. I think they just have to give up this tribute. And I think just the silver lining for them is the fact that this tribute isn't too impactful for Cael'Thas Can't Spell, but it's very much a free tribute. Meanwhile, they're looking to see what other value they can get. Stoic moves up, does manage to finish off the keep front wall in the top lane. And, all right, so Siege Camp will be picked up by the members of ProBUs Drift as they try to make their way to level 16. Cyber Silver Fatal. I like it. All right, then. With this time, though, they're going to pick up the boss right under the noses. Can they get there in time? ChaosTank is looking to see if he can get in there, but he's not able to. Stoic is really low, though, and so is Asmochad. Stoic does get the Ancestral healing. We do have the Ardent Defender come out. Asmochad is now really low, and oh, but there is the Wailing Arrow engaged. This could just be just what they needed, and I don't think, yeah, Johanna does not have Iron Skin there, so Iron Skin, yes, she does not have Iron Skin, so they will be able to get the kill, and yet they do have to kind of weigh things right now. Now, this is a Johanna down, so chances are they could possibly even win a 4v4, even with someone clearing the boss. They're not even clearing the boss. They're going for the tribute. Oh, they're going for more kills, though. Asmochad is really low. If they don't get kills here, I don't think this is worth it. Oh, but they did get a kill. Going to make me shut up. I'm still not 100% sure if it's worth it, even with the kill, actually. I don't think... Yeah, Dahaka does not save this keep. And he gets stunned. Meanwhile, D needs to be super careful there. The worst thing that Cael'Thas can't do at this point is to start staggering out deaths. So boss will eventually be cleared. And Badgerlord will get stunned out again by the boss. Oh, man. Yeah, they get the keep, but they lose the tribute. Now, with Cael'Thas in the bottom lane, as well as... There are definitely some good potential. There's a good potential here for members of ProBUs Drift. This is a 4v5 or a 5v4. Badgerlord looks for an engage. Dorsch is looking at... Oh, wow. We do actually have the rotation here from Asmochad. He's going to make it here in time. But there is the arrow. Okay, someone is so low. That is Rhaegar, who does go down. But we're going to see some kills traded out. Asmochad Asmochad is trying to knock them off the point, but it's not coming. Here is a Pyroblast, and this one actually doesn't kill. Unfortunately, it was onto Li Ming. I think it needed to be onto desdaa there. desdaa was the target that could have gone down. And oh no, that's a 5-man team wipe with a boss and with a tribute. This could actually be the push for game in favor of ProBUs Drift. Oh no. This would be absolutely tragic for Cael'Thas Can't Spell. They played so well for much of this game. And it's very, very possible that they lose right here and now. I mean, we've still got a 90% boss. 90% boss. Toones is up, but we've still got 15 seconds left on Cael'Thas. They're backing out, though. Oh, wow. I'm actually surprised they're backing out. If they're backing out, that gives Cael'Thas Can't Spell a huge chance to come back into this game. I thought they were going to continue to push alongside the boss. I'm so surprised. Now, they still have an experience advantage. They're going to hit level 20 talent tier first. They've still got a curse for about another 10-ish seconds. Okay, we are going to see Asmochad get taunted. Asmochad. Okay, but there is the arrow going out. D is kind of low. Not kidding. Just kidding. Maybe not so low. Ah, wow. I really thought that was going to be the push for game. Bosses are up in... Wow. This is basically even now. Even though, yes, we have level 20 talent tier out for the members of ProBUs Drift. They're going to have it soon, but they're not going to have it for too long. So even once this boss will probably... I guess they can't get this boss for another minute. And, you know, in another minute's time, I think the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell will be able to get level 20 talent here. I mean, honestly, they'll pick it up like in the next 10, 15 seconds. I don't know. I'm tempted to say there that I think the members of ProBUs Drift should have tried to finish the game right here with that boss. The boss still had 90% health left on it. But they just rotated out, they picked up a fort, and they let Cael'Thas Can't Spell clear out the boss. I mean, that's honestly something like, especially if Cael'Thas Can't Spell do somehow end up winning this series, I'm going to go back and rewatch the VOD and just check for sure and try to check to see, could the members of ProBUs Drift have finished the game right here with the boss and the curse? Because now the game is pretty much completely even. Slight structure advantage in favor of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. But, I mean, otherwise, it's just incredibly even. I think part of what's going on here, though, is the play now is more for boss than it is for the tribute. That is really the bigger win condition than trying to go for the tribute. So that's why we see both teams positioning in this place. The boss has been pinged by someone. Dorsch is forward. Does get a condemn onto Badgerlord. Badgerlord is hit. Badgerlord does, however, get the drag onto Johanna. Not the best target. We are going to see Badgerlord really low, though. He does manage to get into... He does burrow. D is now potentially in trouble. D is being harassed by Aruba. D has to go back in towards ChaosTank, but D also does get an Ancestral Healing. Who will be the first to go down? D is still being chased around, but can they trade out a kill? First kill actually does come in on the Dahaka, and the next one should be coming in on the Malfurion, and D is actually able to be kept alive. And with that, what I would like to see at this point, I mean, this should be another boss pick. Oh, they want to see if they can get more. Yeah, Hirobi is in a huge amount of trouble. Teleports through the wall. Can anyone catch up to him? Asmochad. Oh, Asmochad gets it. That's it. Then they just need to cut Hirobi off. Stoic. Stoic, where are you going? Oh, no. Stoic had a chance there to complete the kill. We're going to see Yrel back off. Unfortunately... I think if they were going to go for the kill on Li Ming, they really needed to make it happen. Because they just used up 30 seconds chasing around Li Ming and not getting the kill. Now, they get the boss anyway, but they could have gotten the boss 30 seconds ago. So this time they are... It is Cael'Thas Can't Spell who actually is positioning alongside the boss. But, I mean, this one... This is straight up going to be a 5-on-5. Malfurion will be up in time. They're still waiting for Asmochad to even get there. So either they engage as 4 with the boss, or they wait for Asmochad, who's still going to take some time to get here. Meanwhile, the boss will probably be brought down to, I don't know, 80, 70-ish% in that time. Badgerlord trying to get the clear. He does have to use Burrow, I think, a little bit early. Cleanses goes out on Stoic. Super important there. Not going to result in the kill. Asmochad is here. This is a fight with the boss. The boss is working on the core, but I don't know if the boss will decisively take the core. Dorsch has been hit by isolation. ChaosTank is now at about half of his hit points. Does get hit. They're getting out of there. So the boss will not end up taking the game, but does actually end up getting about 30% off the core. Meanwhile, they're going to get the tribute. Toones will stay behind, get the tribute, as they now probably start looking for the rotation to the other boss. But of course, they have to think that the members of ProBUs Drift have to know that as well, and should be on their way here too. Yeah, we already see the rotations coming in. We do see, oh no, D's a little bit, I feel like D's a little bit potentially behind schedule. I think, well, they're trying to, of course, create the macro advantage with other parts of the map and create multiple threats, so they are also picking up the Bruiser camp, and they will also be able to get in time. Yeah, I actually think this is the right play by the members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell. They're going to get double Mercenary Camp pressure. I 100% think Stoic should actually finish this, but Dorsch is caught. Luckily, Dorsch does have Iron Skin available. Dorsch does have Hold Your Ground, so another 15 seconds before that is available again.
Or face my curse. The choice is simple.
So, members of Cael'Thas Can't Spell can afford to play this slow. Lane's advantage is overall definitely in their favor. They're going to take the team fight right here. Curse Bullet does go out, but so does the Dragon Arrow. D is at about half health, but ChaosTank is under so much threat, and ChaosTank, just as that Varian, just trying to get to the backline, but can't make it. It's already a 5v4, should ultimately be lost. Aruba is trying to make some plays, trying to go for D on the backline, but it's not enough. Hirobi is also low, but we do see Asmochad does still have Ardent Defender, and Asmochad looking to make some plays, and does manage to help secure the kill on... What's his name? It's Dahaka. That's who it is. So now they do... Oh, man, this is looking rough for them. And, of course, with that lane push in that bottom lane, the Siege Giants getting so much value. Let's not leave out this catapult right here. They can just rush the core, and that's exactly what they're doing. And they do manage to finish the game. So, congratulations to Cael'Thas Can't Spell picking up their first win in NGS this season. And, I mean, they really were... They really did have to play, like, they were really... I'm running out of words here. Just the English is not coming. But they had to be very tenacious there. Like, they stole Game 1. Cael'Thas Can't Spell, they stole Game 1. By all rights, Game 1 should have gone in favor of the members of ProBUs Drift, but they kind of threw it there. And then even that last game, I felt there was a time when I thought ProBUs Drift was going to finish the game. But the game went on, and eventually it was Cael'Thas Can't Spell picking up their first win in this season of NGS. So, congratulations to them.